guys. This is Andrew Constantine, and you're listening to the Black Ibis Social Club. With us in the fantastic studio, we have our host, Fisto Sobani. What's up, Fisto?
Hello there. Hey, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. And then today we have a guest. We haven't had a guest. Actually, we did have a guest. We had Lisa last time. And
she counts.
Mr. Jack. Yeah, she counts. Sorry. Host of the book club from Hell and Heaven, and all around cool dude. What's up, Jack?
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's I've been listening to this show for a while, so it feels slightly surreal to have you and Fisto responding to things I say, rather than me just listening to Fisto shoot his mouth off, or you two glazing at the brothers Karamazov from afar.
Yeah. You know, I kept on thinking, like, we're having Jack on again, but we never had you on before. I went on your podcast. I think. Yeah, I did. Where we talked about where we talked about Solenoid. And this one of the most schizoist of books, which is very interesting that we talked about a schizo book, because I didn't have, when we did the Solenoid episode, I didn't read Tower yet, which is itself a very schizo book. So we're going to get down to that. We have some guests with us in the live chat. I'm sure the numbers are going to keep growing. It feels like every time we do a live stream, we get more and more guests. Now, the way StreamYard works is pretty awesome because it connects all the different chats from YouTube and all that stuff. Unfortunately, it does not fully like Substack yet. So you have to open the Substack window to see those chats, guys. And I'm talking to Fisto and Jack, but you guys on Substack, I can see you guys. I see. What's up? We got Brad Kelly joining us.
Oh,
Antigone, right? We got all the people. So, let's get some chatting going on. Got questions for Jack. Go ahead and drop them, and I'll bounce between. If you're on YouTube and listening, which I think there's some people on YouTube, I can read the YouTube on our direct thing, and then I will bounce back and forth to Substack and read that. Because I do want to talk about Substack today, because you are a writer, Jack. So Substack is important because it is the home of the great American novel, or something like that.
That's something that I, with my clearly North American accent, am eminently qualified to write.
Right. Well, you're not even American, right? You're Australian. You're actually a CEO of Australia. Yeah, but you've been to the U.S., right? I think we talked about that on your episode. All right, so before we go on, for you guys that are joining us or listening to this as a follow-up, from now on, all our Wednesday episodes are going to be live stream. I think it's cool. It creates a cool radio atmosphere. You can hear all the bloopers live. After we're done recording, I pull these episodes, I edit the audio, and by edit is I fix the sound and make it better to listen to, like in the car, and that gets put onto Substack as an actual podcast episode, which then gets sent through those series of tubes to Spotify, YouTube, and all the different podcasting apps, and now you can listen to them as a podcast. Our Wednesday episodes are going to continue being free episodes, but we have started doing private exclusive episodes, like we just did the Under the Silver Lake episodes, which the streams are going to be free for those. You're going to listen live on stream, but the following edited podcast version is going to be behind the paywall. And I think that's fair, right? I think I'm not being very usurious, it went, but right. I think it's great.
It's a great way to do it, because I mean, the sample's always, first one's always free. So,
right. So there's gonna be a lot of like like every set episodes on certain topics. I've got some stuff on Mircea Eliade that I'm writing, and we're gonna do those, and those are gonna be behind the paywall. The idea is that, like, we have a bunch of subscribers that are basically giving us money, and we're making content for them. But guys, if you look at we've been doing this for almost a year and a half. There's something like 200. How many hours did I count of free content so far? Over like almost 100 hours of free content. So
yes, it was a number that I found surprising. I think that, for sure.
Right, helping us out with some cash gives you get all the free content already, and you'll get all the other content, and you can join us in our secret private Telegram channel, where you have to wear a Venetian mask, and you have to know the secret code Fidelio to come inside, right? And this is I mostly just chimp out. It's just mostly me talking shit on people, which is not really any.
You got to remember that. You got to remember that it's doing the underground record thing. So, if you want to see the titties, then we're gonna need that paid subscription. That's how that works.
There's no titties. I'm sorry.
And we just lost a viewer,
but it's quite super. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe.
Someone's diving for their credit card now to slam that into the Black Ibis social club.
Shut up and take my money.
Fisto and Alex's titties in the Telegram.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely can't get those for free on the internet. That's for sure.
I said Telegram chat, not OnlyFans. Okay.
Fantastic.
Listen, guys, I think my priest listens to this. I'm just joking. Yes, because you guys do video a lot. And why don't you tell us about it yourself real fast? Give us that old introduction for our listeners, which all probably know you already, but if they don't.
Yeah, so I'm Jack BC, co-host of the Book Club from Hell, which is a podcast. I imagine there's a fair bit of overlap in terms of listeners between Book Club from Hell and Black Ibis Social Club. But basically, I and one of my friends, Levi, will read books that are in some way weird or terrible or interesting, but just kind of out of left field, and we'll talk about them at length. We've got, I think I had a similar experience to you earlier this year, where I realized how many hundreds of hours of free content, or just how many hundreds of hours of us talking now exist online. So if you like one of our episodes and you hear it, there are many, many more. As well as that, I've got Tower, a novel, which we'll be talking about today. I've started publishing shorter pieces on Substack, mostly just dumb things inspired by the books I've read for the Book Club from Hell. And I've also got some other longer pieces in the works. I've got a novel that's nearing completion now that I'm talking to a publisher about, which is cool. A novella that's in the works that'll hopefully come out sometime in the next 12 months. Yeah, those are the main things about me. That's my internet footprint.
Right. So you on Book Club from Hell, you guys do very long form episodes. Like you go on for like 2 hours or so. I just linked the Amazon page for Tower, and of course links are retarded on Substack. And you covered some great books, man. And we're going to talk about Tower in a bit, but I just want to talk about the podcast first, because I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of both Tower and the podcast. I listen to almost every episode. You had me on, and we did a really weird book, right? We did Mitra Cătărescu's Solenoid, which is a weird Romanian book. That's a mind trip. I really love that book. It's one of my top 5 books of the last 20 or so years. It's interesting. People keep inviting me to always do really weird books, because I was just on Brad Kelly's podcast, and we did the Magus, and that's a really weird book too. Not as weird as Solenoid though. Solenoid is out there weird. But yeah, you've done tons and tons of books, fiction and nonfiction, right? And I read a recent piece of yours on Mishima, and that was a good piece. It was a satirical kind of piece, right? and I really liked it. Are you a Mishima fan? Like, do you like his writing specifically?
Yeah, I haven't read a huge number of his books, but the ones I've read, I've really enjoyed. Sun and Steel we did for the podcast because it's just such an odd book. It's sort of an aesthetic and a metaphysical justification for bodybuilding, and there's nothing quite like it. But then the other novels of his that I've read are very beautiful, at least in translation. I assume it's even better in Japanese. But yeah, I'm a Mishima fan qualified by the fact that I haven't read a huge number of his works.
Right. I'm too. I read Sun and Steel, and Sun and Steel is like I don't think you can call it really a book. It's like an essay, right? It's like a long essay. And are you familiar with it, Fisto?
Yeah. No, that was I taught.
Oh yeah, you covered it in school.
It.
Yeah, you
class.
What?
I've not read the whole thing, but yeah, I'm definitely familiar with it, and I liked it very much. Yeah, I taught a very brief lesson where that book and the poetry featured, because I was trying to explain to the students. For folks who don't know, who are new to the show, I teach high school freshmen, but I was trying to show them the struggle of the Japanese soul as it transitioned from the post-war, as it transitioned into the post-war world. So that was fun.
Yeah, and for listeners that are listening right now or later in the future, I recommend reading Sun and Steel, especially if you're interested in an alternative. Oh, I recommend Mishima, right? If you're interested in a Japan or a contemporary or 20th century Japan that is not your anime Japan, I think a lot of times we conflate Japanese writing with anime or manga, or I don't know if I even said it right. I should know better because I lived in Japan for so many years. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Mishima is not that. Yet it still has a lot of the elements of that you will see in some of the good animes, which is the idea of Japanese, their wistfulness and they're kind of like they have the sense of fatalism that is not really as present in Western literature. I've read Sun and Steel, which is basically an essay about him being a weak bitch, realizing he's a weak bitch, and going out and lifting weights and doing crazy stuff in the sunlight, and how not to be a weak bitch. It's a very kind of a simple thing. It's written very poetic and very, very Japanese, but that's like the gist of it, is basically how like a life of internal retrospection is not a great life, or it wasn't a beautiful life. So it says that you have to add the physical movement and the vitality to your lifestyle. And that was kind of his whole kind of shtick. I did read, he's best known for the tetralogy, right? Which is called the Sea of Fertility tetralogy, which is a series of 4 novels that are all connected in a really weird way that they're connected. They're connected through one character that ages throughout the 4 novels. And each novel, it starts off with him a late teen, basically, like a late teen to young adult. Then he's like a young man in the second one. He's a middle age in the third, and he's an old man in the fourth. And the whole tetralogy is kind of like the linchpin of the 4 novels are this other character that the main character is. He's sort of in like friend love with them, but he dies in the first novel, and in the subsequent novels, the main character, whose name is Honda, believes that he comes across different reincarnations of the same character, which is a really interesting concept. And in the second one, I believe that he is a Thai princess. And the third one, he is like a nationalist terrorist. And the fourth one, he is like a criminal kind of like thug, basically. and well, at least that's who he believes is the reincarnation of his friend from the first novel, the first novel is called Spring Snow, and it's the only one I've read, but it's really good. It's really, really sad, and all Yukio Mishima stuff is definitely worth a read. Another one that is a standalone is the Sailor Who Fell in Love with the Sea. Really weird, really dark. There's a lot of homosexual kind of vibes through all his work, because he was a homosexual.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely there, like you can feel it, but it's Japanese, and Japanese are all kind of homosexual in a way. I'm sorry, Japanese guys. There's always that vibe. It's like French novels are always kind of gay just a little bit. It's like, it's a little gay there, but we love them. It's cool. We love Japan. We love you, Mishima. And of course there's the whole
Alex, what an Anglo thing to say, like or like an English speaking thing to say. Y'all, this foreigner stuff is a little gay.
Yeah, but the Anglos
that's foreign stuff, man.
The Anglos are kind of gay too, man. So it's the British, they're kind of gay too. The only people that are not gay is the Russians. Okay, the Russian literature is not gay. Okay. There's just no gayness. There's no like crime and
they don't
punishment.
even have a word for that. They don't have a word for that.
It's like, do you guys remember, like, oh man, over a decade ago that was that Iranian president Ahmadinejad or whatever? He's all like, "Oh, we don't have a gay problem in Iran because there's no gay people here." Yeah, sure, bro.
It's like, bro, you were part of Alexander the Great's empire. You've got gay people everywhere, man. Sorry.
You're Persian. You're a Persian.
Yeah, you're Persian. Hellenistic Persians. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, you're basically
from the start.
It's like the other people that invented gay, not the people that truly invented gay, and that's the Greeks, right? But it's like Greek and gay are basically synonyms, so it's like, it's like, but no, there's
no that unfair. It's just the Athenians.
Yeah, just the okay. I want Spartan, and just all of them. Just
a man of culture, right. And taste here.
But Russian literature not gay. There's nothing gay about crime and punishment. It's more depressing and murderous than gay. You're like, no, okay, you're gonna do that. Anyways, I'm joking. Definitely read Mishima. But yeah. So you did that. You wrote a really funny essay, which is basically. But tell me about the essay a little bit. What was your intention in writing that? Because it's really funny, I think.
Honestly, my intention with it is just to try to pick up my writing pace, because I'm so slow writing normally. So I thought I'd just try to write short, funny stuff that I try to make myself laugh with it, and I just fundamentally find misinterpreting systems of thought to completely stupid ends really funny, and I always have. And so it's just dumb stuff like I tend to read at the gym between sets, and I was reading Bataille at the gym, and I realized how consonant Bataille is with something as stupid as going to the gym. And it more or less just progressed from there, thinking through the implications of what if a moron who was really into the gym, really into Bataille, really into Mishima, just decided to try enacting these particular ideas in his life. And I got to that. I think it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll release something in a similar vein that I've written about Evola, someone else whom I initially read for Book Club from Hell, and then developed an appreciation for. And I've read other things by him since, just for my own personal pleasure.
That's funny.
That's the motivation behind it.
Right. I mean, for guys that haven't read it, you can look on Jack's Substack. And what you're basically making fun of is like the online aesthetic bro type mentality.
Yeah.
And those guys make me realize, oh, I know why motherfuckers weren't allowed to read for most of history. You know what I mean? I love people reading, but then sometimes something gets into the hands of people that is maybe a little bit, it requires a little bit of interpretation or some help interpreting things, and like, for example, Evola's work, you need to approach it with a heavy base, before you dive in, that the Bible, it needs a little, usually need a little bit of help, because when you go at those things on your own, you end up, a Protestant snakes, that type of stuff, right? So what do you think about Evola?
Perfect.
Yeah, Protestant schizo,
that piece is I described the exoteric intention of the piece. You've hit correctly upon the esoteric meaning of what I wrote, which is actually just a crystallized case against universal literacy.
Absolutely. Like, we need to take books away from motherfuckers, okay? Like, there's too, like, reading is dangerous, guys, okay? You need to stop. You gotta start with the basics, okay? Like Dr. Seuss, all right, Mother Goose,
Plato's Republic.
Yeah, simple stuff. Yeah,
you have to start with the very hungry caterpillar before you can move on to handbooks for right-wing youth.
Yeah, you ride the caterpillar before you can ride the tiger. Right? Or you're gonna get the claws, bro. It's just how
ride the caterpillar before you ride the lightning. All right,
yeah,
you gotta chase after the Lorax before you chase after the white rabbit. Right, you got to do one.
Exactly.
You got to do them in the proper order.
Well, it's funny because that's exactly what happened in that character in Under the Silver Lake. His entire cultural absorption was from a pop culture kind of level, and then he delved into the esoteric, and the esoteric got his ass. So Evola, what do you think about Evola? He's interesting. He's interesting because some people really like him, some people really hate him, and everyone misunderstands him, in my opinion. So what do you think? Because if you've read, what have you read by him, by the way?
So I've only read 2 full works of his. So I've read Revolt Against the Modern World and Ride the Tiger. He's got a bunch of books on magic.
Right.
In all, I don't know how many pages he's written in his magic series.
The group stuff.
Yeah. But I've read a fair bit of that, just like PDFs from LibGen. The magic stuff I probably understood the least because I know so little about alchemy and all the crazy things he was drawing on. I'd say with Evola is one of those people with whom I really like reading, and whether I think what he's saying is true or not is just not that important to me, because his worldview is just so alien to basically the prevailing worldview that I live in every day. And it's, apart from anything else, great fun to try to occupy that, of a guy who's like, no, the Romans were, in performing rites, they were literally impressing their triumphal seal upon an entity in the world of being to effect changes in the world of becoming. I really like the depth of his scholarship. I like how curmudgeonly he was, where he'll take a break from talking about why Christianity isn't great, but the Roman Catholic Church is less bad than every other type, to start complaining about jazz and how degenerate jazz is.
You really hate mountain climbing too.
I'm a real Evola appreciator.
Yeah, he didn't hate mountain climbing. I'm sorry, he hated skiing. He had an essay on like how he doesn't like skiing. How all the fucking skiers are polluting the mountains with their skiing. Yeah. I'm like, all right, man, old Baron. No, he's interesting.
I love that there's a level of very, very advanced being a reactionary when you start to dislike things that normal people, sort of the mass man, wouldn't even consider to be problematic, like skiing or hot dogs or sunglasses. That's when you know you're extremely advanced in your reactionary mindset.
Oh, it's funny because I dislike sunglasses, so it's It's because your eyes absorb the light, and you need to get the full solar energy through the most. You have all these capillaries in your eyeballs, and they directly absorb the light. That's what they're built for, and you need to recharge yourself spiritually through the power of the sun. So I try to just stare at the sun every morning.
Yeah,
I'm just
really, really, just stare straight into it. Really fry your retina.
Yeah, like right into it every morning. I'm not really a big sunglass guy actually, because I don't know. It always feels weird seeing the world through like a shade. So I don't like them. I wear them when I have to. But
and what you need to do now is start backfilling a spiritual justification for why you don't like them.
Right. Some kind like the whatever happened to that like sunning your butthole thing? Remember that? Is that still around?
Yoni sunning. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's still going on. You just have to go to Bali and listen for the German language, follow it, and you'll probably find a bunch of blonde tourists yoni sunning.
Yeah, just recharging their chakras through the sun, through their buttholes or whatever. I mean, sure, whatever. That's cool, man. Who said paganism?
Evela's probably written something about that as well.
I'm sure he has.
There's no stone left unturned.
Yeah, and so I read Revolt Against the Modern World, and I read the Tiger. That's the two I've read. I own one of like the volume 1 of the like the magical writings or whatever of the group. I didn't order it. I actually, funny enough, I was in one of the most liberal hippie places in California called Ojai, California, and this place is like, it's like where retired movie people retire, and it's completely unaffordable. It's this little tiny little town, kind of in the desert mountains above like Santa Barbara, California. And I used to live real close to there, so I would go to Ojai all the time because there's some really great hiking in that area. And they had this bookstore. It was a great used bookstore, but it was like shit lib as fuck, right? It was like, your patchouli hippies, the bitch face like young girl, that like hates you, just because you're a dude. It's just, you're very stereotypical hippie place, right? And but they had a huge collection of like just kind of weird stuff in one of the rooms, and I'm looking through it and I'm like, they had a lot of Evla books in this place, right? I was like, what the hell?
There's a surprising amount of super fascism in here.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, we're talking about some Evla, some Heidegger. I'm like, what? Do these people like know this? So I'm like, I'm gonna buy this magic book on, weird Evola magic of the group. And I picked it up. It's like the green covered one. You've probably seen it. I think they sell it on Amazon. And I went and I bought it, and I got the dirtiest look from like the girl. She's like, you fucking Nazi fuck, and I'm just like, oh, come on. I'm just trying to
wait. She gave you a dirty look for buying a book that was in her store?
Well,
so she knew what the book was about then.
Yeah,
she had to, because she instantly I instantly made it on the do not welcome to, do not send emails about their deals,
You're not supposed to read the book, sir. You're supposed to criticize it loudly.
Greetings, Joshua, in chat. But yeah, which is always odd to me, because like honestly, like you like in that town, you just come across like celebrities all the time. Like one of the days we're coming back from a hike, and my friend and I were going to get some coffee, and I'm just driving, and like I stop at a stop sign, and the dude from How I Met Your Mother and Forgetting Sarah Marshall just like walks across like the street. He's like right in front of my car. What was that guy's name? I'm talking about the actor, the big
Which
guy.
character did you play?
Marshall.
The guy that played Marshall.
Yeah, I forgot his name. But yeah,
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel just walking, in front of my car. I'm like, my friend's like, and the funny thing is, as we were driving up, we were talking about what's that author? What's that freaking author that like everybody, the one that like all the lit bros always talk shit about? the forget the lobster guy or whatever.
Oh, David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, David Foster Wallace, and we were talking about David Foster Wallace in Infinite Jest, and which I've never read. Have you read that book?
Yeah, I like it. I read it ages ago, maybe when I was 20, and thought I was wondering if I liked it because it was just the sort of book that appeals to a young guy. But I cracked open my copy actually not too long ago, looked over it and thought, no, I actually do like this. It's so maximalist. It's so obnoxious. It's so incredibly neurotic. I think in anyone else's hands, it would be a complete train wreck, but it somehow works from him. Right. I'll defend it.
I own
it's
a
big commitment though, because it's 1,000 pages of feeling like you're going insane.
Right, and that's why I haven't read it yet. I own it. Maybe 2 years ago, I went on a book buying spree, and I bought a bunch of books that I needed to complete my full my full what do you call it, library of things that like people talk about, like critical books that are cultural, have cultural impact. And there are certain things that like I've actually missed in my greater reading library. Like, for example, like I've never read War and Peace. I just never got around to it. So I was like, I should buy War and Peace. So I bought War and Peace. Sorry. And I bought Infinite Jest, and I have been like looking at it, like I'm like, oh, okay, I need to commit to this. You got to be in the right mood, like,
oh, absolutely, especially with prose that unusual.
Right. I've read his Consider the Lobster essays. I agree with him on the lobster essay, for example. If you're not familiar with it, Fisto, Consider the Lobster, he's talking about how it's fucked up that we eat lobsters because it's like cruel that we boil them alive, right? Which I agree with them. It's gross. And I think lobster's overrated food anyways, so whatever. It's
completely.
It's an expensive sea cockroach. Like, come on,
don't trust invertebrates.
Eat that disgusting.
Refuse to eat anything without a spine.
It's one of those. It's one of those. Well, I lived in Portland, Maine for a long time. I mean, it was just there was so freaking much of it. It's like, yeah, feed this to the poor people. It kind of looks like meat. It's a little like it. It's like, yeah, we'll call it seafood. All right, there you go. And,
right.
Humans eat everything, but
I don't think lobster and crab taste bad. I actually think they both taste pretty good.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think it's worth the money and the effort. Like I don't want to have to fight with my food. I don't have to crack it open. I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Like,
as a luxury item, as a supposed luxury item in so many places, surf and turf, and like it's really this is it. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. I never got a taste for it anyway, so whatever.
I won't say no to it. I feel like I won't go out of my way. I'm also the kind of guy that like I don't go out of my way to get steak at restaurants either. I feel like in a way like steak's kind of overrated. I like crawdads. And this is Arthur and Kelly said you probably wouldn't like crawdads. I love crawdads. I love shrimp. I love prawns or whatever. I think they're the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like those
crawdad.
A crawdad's like a big ass fucking shrimp.
Oh, crayfish.
Yeah, it's crayfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this like weird when I was down in the South Pacific, real close to Australia. There was this like weird like Australian shrimp thing that I ate, and that was pretty good. It's my problem with lobsters isn't the fact that it's like a lobster or I don't have a problem. I'll eat anything. I've ate some fucked up shit. One time I ate one of those giant endangered sea turtles, right? Like I'll eat anything. I ate, I've eaten
the nut.
I chewed the nut. I've eaten like the giant like sea snail fucking thing when I was in Taiwan. The nastiest thing I'd probably eaten was jellyfish because like it was in a they bring it to you in a bowl and it's just this white slime with like wasabi in it and it straight up looks like jism. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, like it's just it's like snot, dude. Like you're like and you slurp it up and like you're like and it's cold and you're like fuck that,
How do they prepare it? Do they just heat it up for you and stick it in a bowl?
It's cold. They just like
they don't even do that.
Yeah, and they
mix it, fish it out of the sea and give it to you.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I'll eat it because I'm not going to say no to this bowl of jellyfish parts floating, But I was like, no, it's good. So like
in retrospect, in retrospect, it's kind of obvious that we eat lobster because holy shit, like eat all that. It's just whatever's lying around, stick it in your mouth. If you don't die, it becomes food. That's just how it works.
Yeah, Joshua T. Calkins pre-working. Yeah, he said on the chat, lobster and crab in colonial era America was considered poor people food. That is true, and it was also considered poor people food in London. I guess there was a lot of lobsters off, I don't know, in London, right? And that's what they fed those like freaking poverty jail people. You know, those guys that ended up getting sent to Australia. That probably fed them a diet of sea cockroach. You know. It's like, oh, you're getting ready to get transported. Make sure you get your ration of sea cockroach before you go. I mean, ultimately, it's not bad. I always feel like it's one of those things where, like, some people are like, "Oh my god, it's so good." I'm like, "Nah, dude, it's not." Okay, like, it's good, but it's not worth like $100 for me to go sit around and like, crack things and like you like suck out some tendon and shit. It's like I just don't want to do that, man. I just give me a fork.
They're salty bugs. They're expensive salty bugs.
Salty sea
worse.
bugs.
No, Jack, it's worse. It's a seafood psyop. You've been psyoped into thinking it's a luxury item. That's what
Klaus Schwab is laughing to himself as everyone cracks into their lobster and crab.
Yeah, look at these guys, sea cockroaches, freaking scrubs. Now bring me my young boy or whatever it is he eats.
Yes, here I'm eating like foie gras. I'm eating like stuffed bird with exploded liver or whatever the hell that is, right? Meanwhile, we're eating fucking like the detritus, like mussels. Okay, people eat mussels. It's like that's the shit that attaches to the dock, dude. You know what I mean? Like you literally have to be some like you have to be some peasant to like have to eat like the barnacle that attaches to like the dock. You know, you're like, oh,
yeah,
this
exactly.
is like,
just the gastroenteritis factory. Just filter all the shit out of the sea.
Yeah, it's like, look, I think mussels are actually pretty good, but like, come on, man, it literally like is gross. You know, I live in South Carolina, and in South Carolina, they are all big about what do you call it? In the Low Country here, the freaking oyster shooters. You know, they like that. So I'm like, oh, let me go get some fresh oysters. I want to see what this oyster thing is all about. No, I'm not about it. Okay, I'm sorry, South Carolina Southerners. I'm good. Okay, it tastes disgusting. It's like slime with like sand and shit in it. It's like I don't want to eat that. Like I'm not paying $50 for like a plate of like sandy like sea slime boogers in the shell. You know, it's like no. And people are like, oh, it's good, but you got to put a lot of lemon and hot sauce on it. I'm like,
yes, well, you can't fucking taste it.
Yeah, it's like just
okay. If you're loading it up with hot sauce and lemon, it sucks. Yeah. That's why you're loading it up, guy. Come on. That's literally what spice is for. Oh, this is rotted meat. Throw some spice on it. It's fine. It's great now. Yeah. Now it's fancy foreign word, whatever you want to call it.
It's like, you know, it's like if you have to cover the food with like spices and stuff to make it taste good, it's probably not good. I don't know. Maybe like I don't know. And it's like there's a lot of this like ethnic food and like local cultural food where like I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, I can see why you ate that. But you don't have to eat that anymore, bro. You know what I mean?
Like, great comment from Arthur. Some folks would eat dirt with enough ketchup on it.
Right, right. It's like, look, like I get it. Like, you know, like a lot of like Asian countries, and you know, I love Asia. I've been to all over Asia, you know, but you want to ask these people like, okay, so you're on some boat, some canoe, and you see like jellyfish like floating around. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna eat that. No, what the fuck were you thinking? You know, like that doesn't even look good. You know, like you're like,
look, counterpoint to that method. Cheese exists. So somebody went, that's strange, and then ooh, yeah. So you know, you win some, you lose some. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. I mean, I probably like a lot of things that like I really like homemade kombucha. Okay, that's like my hipster thing. I love homemade kombucha, and it's got the little scoby floating around and stuff. And there's a bunch of people that make it at my church, and I drink it every Sunday. I'm like, where's my kombucha at? You know, I liked it in California when it was really trendy, and some people think it tastes like tea that's gone sour. But you know what? It's good. Okay, all right, I like it. Leave me alone. It's good for your intestines and stuff. Evola would probably drink kombucha if he had some. All right,
Would
I
he?
think you would. Absolutely.
I think you might think of it as the yoga tanning of the drink world.
No. See, but Evola was into all sorts of weird Eastern stuff.
It's Eastern, so it's fine then. I see.
Yeah,
I see the difference.
So the interesting about Evola is that, well, actually, the interesting about all of those people around that era, around with the similar socio-political leanings like Evola, they tended to have a little bit of a fetish for Eastern Japanese culture, but specifically they really liked Indian culture, and they a lot of them, like even Mircea Eliade, he went to India when he was like a young man, and he fell in love with a famous Indian woman, and he got sprung on her, even wrote a book about her called Bengal Nights. And there was Satiri Devi. Are you guys familiar with Satiri Devi, right? For guys that don't, do you know about her, Fisto?
No.
Satiri Devi.
Oh, just wait. You're in for a treat.
Okay, Satiri Devi. She was. I'm going to read her Wikipedia.
Wasn't
for
she
you guys
Greek?
There. Yeah, she was. Let me see. French-born Greek-Italian, right? And she was according to Wikipedia, guys, she was a French-born Greek-Italian Nazi sympathizer, spy, and author. She served the Axis powers by committing acts of espionage against the Allied forces in India. She was an exponent of esoteric Hitlerism. She became a leading member of the neo-Nazi underground during the 1960s. Savitri was a proponent of synthesis of Hinduism and Nazism, proclaiming Adolf Hitler to have been an avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu. She depicted Hitler as a sacrifice for humanity that would lead to the end of the world age, the Kali Yuga, which she believed was induced by the Jews. She was also a radical animal rights activist and vegetarian. Okay, so if you read Evola, if you read some of his work, he does have the Yoga of Power, right? And he was very into the whole Ride the Tiger, Kali Yuga thing in popular right-wing circle comes from Evola now, but he was big. The Kali Yuga is one of the ages of Hinduism. It's the end stage, the apocalyptic age. It's the age we supposedly live in now. And there's a lot of Hindu mysticism, Hindu pagan stuff inside of Evola, and also in a lot of the other guys that read Evola when he was writing in real life, which is kind of interesting to me. It's always been interesting to me.
To kind of boil it down for the normies. So if a French person eats dirt with ketchup, no. But if a crazy Hindu fascist eats dirt with ketchup, then it's Kali Yuga, offerings or whatever.
Kali Yuga, Uber alles, right?
Yeah.
These guys were all basically right-wing crystal
like
ladies.
Uber, but with that.
They were what, Jack?
They're right-wing crystal ladies. So if you tell them that something's Indian, or if they can smell the Nag Champa incense on something, they're going to go crazy for it. It's like Rene Guénon, I think his first book published was maybe the most annoying book ever written on Hinduism.
Right. Well, yeah, I forgot about Rene Guénon. And he was your new right spiritual kind of founder, right? French guy. And yeah, he was all about the Hindu stuff also. So a lot of these right-wing guys from the 20th century were really big into Hinduism. It was and that's kind of where I tend to be irritated with them, because a lot of it is really exoticism. They're not really into like Hinduism. They're not like as far as I know, I don't think Evola has ever been to like Mumbai or anything like that. He wasn't eating like feet curry off the streets of Mumbai or anything, I think it's like this he read stuff and he studied the religions and the culture, but he never actually like experienced the culture. And I think before the age of actually seeing videos of what Mumbai looks like, or just any of that, the whole area, there was a kind of a mystical fetishization of Hinduism and the Far East and spiritual religion.
The Orient.
In
the Orient.
The Orient in Europe. You know, I mean, we had it in the United States, right? And then people like, I don't know, actually went to India and they're like, yeah, no, this is not it. I'm going to pass. I've never been to India, so it might be a wonderful place, right? But I did have a close friend that had a bit of a India fetish for a while. And yeah, I mean, I like Indian food, you know, it's pretty good when it's made by Mexicans, right? But for the most part, it's just not. Right. But Evola like bounces off me because you're like, oh, that's really good. That's really good. And then he goes into like Atlantis and all this shit. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell, you know, like.
No, that's exactly what I'm there for. I want him to start talking about Atlantis sinking because of miscegenation and the practice of Titanic black magic. That's exactly what I've signed up for when I buy a book.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean,
mainline it. Let's go right into the veins.
Yeah,
bring it.
Atlantis and then Hyperborea, and you know, it's you know, it's interesting, you know, but you're like, I always wondered, like, you know, this is a guy that was like invited to like, you know, Mussolini's parties and stuff. You know what I mean? There's that famous picture of him, like, he's kind of gooning in the back behind Hitler in that one picture. It's like one of the best pictures of all time of Evola and Hitler together. And it shows like Hitler walking and some other Nazi guys, and Evola's like in the back, like leaning against the wall, just kind of mogging in the back over there. And like, you know, the SS like investigated this guy for, you know, they didn't trust him because he's like, oh, he's too esoteric, he's too weird, and you know, and the question is, these guys are like, yeah, you know, like this guy's a threat to international Nazism because of Atlantis. You know, I just wanted to know, like, you know, how, like, I don't know, maybe
Alex,
yeah,
I just sent you a picture. Is in Telegram. Is this the one? You should post it for the listeners.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Oh, dude, post it because he's just sitting back. He's photobombing it. It's fantastic. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it right now.
You got all the guys, and then his facial expression is of a man who went, shit, I just got caught in an official photograph. Look serious.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go to jail.
But like the angle is all wrong, so he just looks ridiculous. Like he tried at the last second to look cool, and it failed miserably. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but you're right, Alex.
Try to post that.
What would it be like being the? Oh, there he is. What would it be like being the member of the secret police, though, being assigned to monitor Julius Evola?
Yeah, it's like, you know, tonight he went to a secret meeting with this with the group, and they had sex yoga, and
yeah, they just talked about, they got autistic about yoga for 8 hours.
And like, who do you have in this picture? You got Mussolini over here on the left. Some German Navy officer.
You got Goring, the fat guy's
Goring. I'm not as good in my you know, Nazi party like personalities as I should be, you know. But yeah, Evola's in the back gooning over there. Now, interestingly enough, he I'm gonna remove that before I get banned by YouTube. Interestingly enough, right? Like he, you know, he was a brave dude. I mean, he would walk around Rome, you know, in the middle of Allied bombing runs, and just
yeah, until I think a bit of shrapnel transected his spinal cord, made him paraplegic.
He ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, and he lived a pretty long life. He influenced the Italian far right well past World War II, and like the new far right in Italy. I'm telling you when he died. He died in 1974, so 9 years before I was born, which is pretty interesting, right? It's crazy how like we read about these guys, specifically from that World War II era, and we like kind of place them in this like far away mythical time in our minds. But these guys, like, he lived past like the 1960s. He was there for like the Beatles and everything that like this 1974 is not that far off. Like my parents were alive. It's like my parents were like teenagers and stuff in that time. So it's like
could have met Evola. All of our parents could have met Evola. In a more blessed world. If we were in the Satya Yuga rather than the Kali Yuga,
yeah,
they all could have practiced yoga with Evola.
Yeah, on the beach, buttholes to the sky, man. What a dream.
Yeah, in Thailand or Bali.
Well, the wildest thing to me, okay, when it comes to like longevity and authors dying and personal like people, is that Ernst Jünger did not die until 1998.
Yeah, he was like 101 or something.
Yeah. He was born in 1895 and died in 1998. All right. The dude was born in the 19th century, fought in the First World War, fought in the Second World War, did a bunch of stuff after that, and died, 2 years before 9/11, basically. To me, that's wild, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it that way, because we said Ernst Jünger, you see pictures of him and you usually see him young in his uniform, but that dude was around. He lived a long time.
We could have done yoga with Ernst Jünger in Thailand. Well,
yeah, he died. Yeah. He died the year I started high school.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school.
Yeah, which is, to me, that's absolutely wild when you think about that. Yeah. Anyways, we've gone way off topic into
far afield
esoteric Nazism and
At least we're not complaining about lobsters anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting though. We got to talk about lobsters every now. Oh, anyways, so
esoteric lobsterism.
Hippies,
let's
go. Ojai hippies, David Foster Wallace. Yeah, so I need to read David Foster Wallace. I need to read Infinite Jest. It's on my to-do list. How long have you been doing the podcast now?
Oh, a few years. I've been asked this a few times. I always need to check when our first episode was released.
Yeah, I forget when we started ours too. We're getting close to 2 years now.
But it was a COVID podcast. Yeah, 28th November 2021 was when our first episode was released, which I don't recommend people listen to because it was actually the first thing we'd ever recorded. We decided we didn't need to do a warm up or practice or anything like that. We just went
kind of like our show. for listeners, here you get very professional individuals and me and Fista.
Raw dog straight into it. Let's go.
I
10
forgot
minutes late every day.
I forgot to do send links to everybody today. I'm like, but I have an excuse. I'm like really busy in real life. I've just got a lot of stuff on my mind. All right. But you know what? We do take a lot of notes. At least I do for our like movie episodes. I went through all the details of that movie in all the esoteric notes and stuff. But I just know everything. So it's like, I don't really have to take notes because I'm basically a Superman. So I've read everything except Infinite Jest.
You just worked everything out from first principles.
Yeah. It's like I figured it out.
Movies.
Yeah. It's like, I'm basically an AI if you really want to be. I'm better than an AI. The AI copies what I say and does it. So out of all the book episodes, what would you say is your favorite book out of those?
Is it one I actually liked?
Yeah, a book you actually enjoyed.
Yeah, because the direction of the show's changed slightly in that the initial episodes were us picking things that we thought we'd really dislike, and some of them were actually good. I actually do enjoy Evola.
What's one that you thought was going to be garbage, and you actually thought, and then you're like, oh, that's actually really good. That's an interesting question, I think.
Oh yeah,
there have been a few of them. A topical one is is Revolt Against the Modern World, which I ended up actually liking. The work of Georges Bataille I thought would be just French coom brain, which it is, but I liked it. I really like the Accursed Share. Probably the author that I've gotten the most out of that we covered for the show is Ernst Junger, because we did an episode fairly early on Storm of Steel, and we were told it was this German guy who loved fighting in the First World War, and that's not a really good description of Storm of Steel, but that's why we picked it. And I went from there on to read quite a number of Junger's works, and I really like them. I really like his fiction and his non-fiction. And then
I love Junger, so
whatever you call his in-between pieces, like The Forest Passage, whether you call it fiction or non-fiction, I'm not sure. But probably Junger's works. Hopefully we're doing an episode on Oymersville coming up with Brad Kelly. Shout out to Brad if he's still in the audience.
Yeah.
Which is another one of Junger's books, which is fantastic and just a very strange book. I don't even know if I'd call it a novel.
Yeah, it's his last one. Fisto just read it. Well, it feels like read it, but that was like a year ago now almost.
I finished it. When did I finish it? Yeah, actually. Oh, wow. Yeah, time really has gone on. Oh, my God. I read Forest Passage and Oymersville last year, and then I'm about a third of the way into The Worker, but I've paused that because one can only abuse oneself so much. That's not a criticism. That's just, it's so far above my pay grade. I got to take it a little slow. But yeah, no, Oymersville was fantastic. That's one I'm going to reread at least 2 or 3 more times over the course of my life. And I think the next thing I want to do is read it, and then just because he references just such the guy has encyclopedic knowledge, and I'm gonna have to just take notes on literally everything I don't get, and then go research all of that, and then read it again in like a decade, to like really just absorb the concepts. But no, yeah, to call it a novel, it's like an allegorical political manifesto, but even politics doesn't. Metaphysical manifesto. That's probably really what it is. I mean, it's just it's a guy trying to make sense of the shattering of the 20th century, and I think he does a masterful job. Just, it's very, very cool. So anyway,
well, I mean, you have to think the guy was born in the 19th century, before people owned cars and before planes and before he was probably born before electricity became standard in cities. I don't know what year like New York got electrified. I'm actually going to look that up. I'm really curious. Look that up real fast.
Yeah, but he went from that to seeing PlayStation.
To what?
To PlayStation. He went from no electricity at home.
Yeah, absolutely
existing.
So New York City.
Amazing.
Check this out. New York City got electricity in 1882. That's when so only a decade. He was born a decade after the major cities in the world got electricity, right? And I'm going to guess that New York was one of the first cities to get fully electrified. I'm going to maybe say London and Paris were up there or earlier, and then but most places probably did not have electricity when he was growing up. Definitely, cars were probably a rare sight. I know cars were invented already, but they were not mass produced and they were not affordable, and for many years into his life. So yeah, he was born in a world of still, horses, and
You'll laugh about this. One of the first major cities to be powered by a remote electric hydro plant was apparently Buffalo, New York.
Oh,
that's a fun
interesting
one. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I mean,
right?
New York, yeah, and I mean, it's probably got to do with the Erie Canal and stuff like that. I can't remember if it goes through there, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so the guy lives through 2 world wars. He lives through when he was born in the kingdom of Germany or whatever, right? Like he was born in the Grand Duchy of Baden, the German Empire, and
Jeez.
he died in a unified Germany.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, he would have seen the end of the Cold War as well.
Yeah, he saw communism rise and fall in his life. All right, he was already like an adult when the Russian Revolution happened, because he was born in 1995, so he was already 1895. Sorry, so he was already well an adult. He was fighting in World War One when that happened, and he saw communism collapse. He saw the Berlin Wall getting built, and he saw the Berlin Wall getting taken down, and he saw the rise of the United States, and he writes about the downside of the American capitalist kind of consumer world. To me, that's wild, right? Like it had to have been such an interesting. I think because I'm a big fan of Brad Kelly's old podcast, The Art of Darkness, and they did a fantastic episode on it.
Excellent Junger episode.
Yeah, and did an excellent Junger episode. And I think he was one of the first guys to do LSD, to do like drugs.
And he did it with Hoffman as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So the guy's like, two world wars. He met everybody in Paris during the occupation. I always liked the anecdote of him meeting what's his name? Celine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Celine was way too much for him. He wanted nothing to do with him.
Celine, is like Ernst Jünger, who's German, and he's technically a Nazi official, Nazi officer, overseeing. He was in charge of overseeing Paris during the occupation, and Celine, who's a French supporter of Nazism, rolls up, and Jünger's like, dude, this guy's too much. He is way too much. Like, he is too hardcore of a Nazi. And of course, Jünger was never a Nazi. He might have been in the German military at that time. So by default, you could say, yes, he was a Nazi on paper, but he was never part of the party. He was never ideologically a Nazi at all. He probably would have ended up removed or liquidated if he wasn't the most important war hero of World War I for the Germans. And that's what kept him alive. It did not protect his son, no, because his son was killed by the Nazis for being part of a conspiracy to overthrow Hitler. So there's that. But yeah, Jünger's great. And if you guys have not read Jünger, I highly recommend, if you want to read his kind of pseudo-political kind of philosophical work, the Forest Passages is the way to go, the way to start. It's got some very fantastic things.
Yeah, strongly agree.
What I like about it is that it doesn't tell you like, oh, you should believe this, or you should believe this, or you should be on this side. It's kind of like a guidebook in a way. It's a philosophical guidebook of how to survive in a hostile world. And
especially for Americans in the audience, especially if you went through the public school system, it's going to poke you directly in the chest and make you stop and think about what you learned, especially when it comes to like voting in the ballot box. And one of the best lines in there is when he points out that voting is a questionnaire. Voting is a questionnaire. That really opened my eyes a lot. That was one of those lines that's like, well, Jünger pilled, let's go,
Yeah,
and then to continue reading through Humuswell, it's challenging but worth the effort.
Yeah, I read Jünger and during COVID, and I felt like I was living in an occupied terror state during that time. So and we were living on an occupied terror planet during the COVID time. So I definitely it definitely helped out specifically for me in that era of boring oppression, because like at least run me over with a tank, bro. It's like that was the worst part about it. It wasn't that it was like people shoving you into like boxcars or anything like that. It was just like people being fucking extra annoying everywhere, and I lost a lot of faith in people during that time. So Jünger came in at a very good time in my life and helped out. But enough Jünger. So Jack, you wrote a novel. It's called Tower. Want to tell us what it's about?
Yeah, Tower. I guess for lack of a better description, I call it sci-fi. So it's a sort of surreal sci-fi novel from the perspective of a guy who's living in a city where a tower is invested with such belief by the people in the city and in the whole world that it's growing, it's bending reality around it, it's remaking the world in its own image. And the book is really about this guy's efforts to try to work out why this is happening. He doesn't have any particular illusions that he can change anything. He just wants to know a bit more about the tower before it incorporates him too. So that's my pitch. Actually, here's a question for you. Do you think it's sci-fi? Because I chatted to Brad Kelly about it. I keep bringing him up, and he wasn't sure that it was science fiction.
Here's what I think. So I think there's two definitions of science fiction, right? And in one definition, it absolutely is science fiction. In another definition, it's really not science fiction, right? And the same, I believe, applies to fantasy fiction, right? In a contemporary writing world, where we separate everything into categories that are really just marketing categories, like lit fic and chick lit and romantasy and that kind of stuff. Science fiction and fantasy have been put into a specific kind of square where there are certain expectations that people have for it to be science fiction, right? The people that tend to read science fiction, when they open a science fiction book, they expect like space marines shooting aliens, or they want reruns of things they've already read or seen, or they want their favorite video games in book format.
Yeah, alien titties and laser guns.
Right.
Yeah,
you tend to get. Go ahead, Vista.
Sorry, well, I was just gonna say, like, if I was trying to describe it, the two things that kept popping up into my mind, like if you said, "Hey, is it science fiction?" It's science fiction in the way that Half-Life 2 was science fiction. With the tower, I couldn't help but think of the Citadel in City 17. If you guys have played that game, it dominates.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I could just keep but it took the idea of the Citadel, it took the idea of the tower dominating, and it puts it in this like Brave New World digitalized kind of mess, for lack of a better word. Like it's science fiction, but it's like, do you do drugs, sir? And I don't mean that as like a criticism. I mean that as like a compliment. Like it's got this weird thing going on that's kind of fun to and it's enjoyable to explore. It's enjoyable to read. It's enjoyable to try to figure out what the hell is going on. It approaches that in kind of a very nice, like, X-Files, Half-Life, Brave New World kind of way, where you don't entirely know what's, keep reading, you'll find out. But it's going to require some effort on the part of the reader.
Right. So
science fiction, yeah, but it's weird.
Yeah. So to I think, in my opinion, yeah, Asperger says psychedelic fiction. Yeah, I think that's
great phrase.
The two authors. Maybe? Yeah, the two authors that pop into my mind when I was reading it, what for some reason was J.G. Ballard. It had a very J.G. Ballard kind of vibe, even though Ballard doesn't go as out there as you do. But there's something about Ballard where there's always like a dude and his wife, kind of thing. It reminded me of the book where he goes out into like the vacation with the corporate play, the little corporate city. I forgot what that one's called. Which is really like good. But
Cocaine Nights. He was obsessed with the southern coast of Europe, and there are a few novels set in like retirement villages and things.
Right. I'll tell you right now,
the southern coast of Europe.
It's not Cocaine Nights because I would have not. Okay, Empire.
Supercon.
Super. That's the one. Let me see. What are all his books?
But I really, really
it
like
is super
Ballard.
can. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, right? Where like they go to France and like he's the pilot that crashed or something like that, and he's kind of like a stay-at-home dude now, and J.G. Ballard is great because he's obsessed with you're right. He's obsessed with like the Mediterranean area, like the south of France. He's obsessed with like weird corporations and like housing communities. It's like all his
having
like
sex with cars.
Yeah, having sex
Most
with cars
importantly.
and weird like homeowners associations, basically, and also what reminded me about it is like, my favorite Ballard book is High Rise, and there's a big tower in your book, and there's a big tower in High Rise. But the more traditional fantasy or sci-fi that I would place it next to stylistically is China Miéville. I don't know if you ever read China Miéville stuff.
I've never read anything by him. I keep meaning to. Where should I start with him?
I've read The City in the City a long time ago. But it's a police novel set in an alternate world city that has like weird bug people, and it's got a twin city that they magically transport to back and forth. Like there's two cities. It's really fucking crazy and weird, right? But that's the kind of stuff that he writes. It's like out there. Like he really pushes the level of science fiction and fantasy, which your book does very much so, where there's familiar ideas, but it doesn't fit into that box of like, I want a fantasy book. So then, when people say I want a fantasy book, they want Baldur's Gate, 3 or whatever, right? They want a book with some dude with a sword and, knights and stuff, or something that is like, even when people say, oh, I want a fantasy book that takes place in like a different, it's still like the dude with the sword. You know what I mean? It's like the medieval equivalent of a different culture. It's never like really crazy out there. And it's kind of unfortunate that fantasy has fallen that far into it. But so yeah, is it science fiction? Yes, absolutely. In the way J.G. Ballard is science fiction, or Philip K. Dick is science fiction. But is it science fiction in that there's spaceships and you're going to have the main character is going to be the plucky captain of a space trader or something like that? No, absolutely not. There's a talking hat and a talking briefcase that you meet as characters very early on in the book, right? There's really creepy dudes with glowing teeth and fashy haircuts and their suits grow out of their skin. It's just an insane book, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely not for everyone. All right. It's not one I'm going to be given to, people that aren't a little bit deeper into this stuff, but I really enjoyed it. What was the inspiration for it?
Inspiration was in large part work and just what I read.
I can see that. I can see as a former corporate drone. Yes.
Oh yeah, those are the main touchstones. Work and a lot of Ballard. All
right, so I called it right. Ballard.
Ballard. It's particularly Ballard talking about science fiction, saying he wished to explore inner space rather than outer space. Has always really resonated with me.
Right.
How there's in all of his books, there's this sense of the internal world just being blown out into the external world, like in Crash, the main character, who is named J.G. Ballard, becoming more and more obsessed with the inner logic of a car accident, and that obsession then just playing out into the world around him.
Have you ever read any Ballard, Fisto?
I have not. No, I'm familiar with Crash, but
highly recommended. Highly recommend.
All right, I'll put it on the ever-growing list.
Most people are actually familiar with Ballard due to his nonfiction, semi-autobiographical book that was made into a movie, Empire of the Sun, about like a Japanese internment camp in like Singapore or something like that, right? And or Hong Kong. I forgot exactly where he's from.
Was it Shanghai? He was born in Shanghai. I'm not sure where he was in the prison camp.
But that got made into a movie in the 80s. That was pretty popular. But he wrote some out there trippy fiction, really good stuff. There's actually a recent movie of High Rise that I thought was pretty well done. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Have you seen that one?
No, I watched so few films.
Yeah.
Let me have a look.
It's that dude from like the Marvel movies that everybody likes.
You know how little that narrows it down?
Yeah, I don't watch Marvel movies. I think he's a Marvel movie character. I think he's like a
75,000 Marvel movies, and they all have that guy everyone likes.
I think he's like Loki. I think he's Loki in the Marvel movies.
Oh, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston. Okay, that's who it is. He plays the main character in High Rise. Well, High Rise is cool because it's about this dude who's a doctor, and I think his wife leaves him or something like that, and so he buys this like apartment in this like super building. And it's like this giant like tower, and it's like all these rich people live in there, but it's kind of like class based where the expensive apartments are really at the top, and that's where the architect lives. And then the higher you go, the lower you go, the cheaper the apartments go. But like the power starts going out, the trash starts going out. They have like grocery stores inside this place and like pools and everything, and people just start like fucking tripping out. They just start going insane. Like they start like blocking off the elevators, making like tribes of like the 20th floor versus the 80th floor and that kind of stuff. They go on raids against each other. It's very much like a
we should check that out on like a film club episode. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like a Lord of the Flies, but in an apartment building.
Yeah, but then they all get dressed and go to work and behave normally in the outside world, then come home and go feral again.
Yeah, that's the funniest part, because like they do go to work. Everybody just goes to work, and then they come back and they're back to being in these weird like apartment block gangs and stuff,
like murdering each other's dogs.
Yeah. Corporate America is something we haven't really talked about on this podcast all that much. But Jack, something I want to share, like when you revealed that that a lot of the inspiration came from working. So I worked for a very long time at Progressive Insurance. And if I could just share this little story real quick. The headquarters are in Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up, right? They've got these two massive campuses. Well, the guy that founded the company was a total complete druggy pothead dude, right? And he was really into modern art and into art. So the buildings themselves, the two major headquarters, architecturally, they are designed in such a way that it is difficult to navigate around. And ostensibly, no, it's on purpose. And ostensibly, the idea is that they want their employees to be thinking about where they're going at all times. Because if you aren't paying attention, you'll get lost. Then also, there's art everywhere. And they actually had a art installation, one of the more famous ones. It was a car crash. And it's these two incredibly intricate modern models that slowly run into each other, face to face. And over the course of, I think it was like 2 months, you would see a slow motion car crash occurring, which was even more funny because it's a car insurance company. And they put that in like the main drag coming in from the garages, so there's kind of like this meta humor angle to it.
Yeah, that's twisted. Yeah.
Exactly. And having read Tower and having you say that comment, it's now linked back to me, and I realized, oh, that is some insidious bullshit. Holy, because it's not, all of that stuff is not physically like that to make you think. No, it's to indoctrinate you into a particular direction. That's what it's really doing. And it was just like this. Looking back, man, I'm a little triggered. I'm having kind of like an acid flashback right now, thinking about this stuff. But it's like, damn, dude, yeah, you nailed that frantic ridiculousness that just undergirds corporate life that you can't quite express.
I think what would really get me about that car crash thing is trying to work out what they're trying to tell me with it. Because there are so many different directions you could go in, and so much over analysis you could do about their particular intentions when it comes to the slow motion car wreck exhibit.
Yeah,
and the maze-like corridors.
Yeah, in a fucking car insurance company. Here's a slow motion car crash.
Yeah, that's
But
like
anyway, it was loaded with crap like that. But anyway,
that's like a rehab clinic, like having like a statue of like a junkie dying or something, like ODing. It's like
yeah, right.
it's like sinister, dude. Like that's like what the hell's wrong with people? Like
it's like having a statue of Evola at the Holocaust Museum. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know, right?
Pretty cool. No, but yeah, you're right. I never quite realized that until this, and it's like, man, that's
that's sinister. Yeah, like
really
Arthur said, like a barbecue joint with a petting zoo. It's like
yeah, exactly.
And
I can only imagine. I got out of there before COVID. I can only imagine what that company was like during COVID. Like holy it would have been, full on massive retard mode, and I was not yet equipped to handle that.
I've never had the displeasure to work in corporate America. I managed to escape that. I did do a brief stint in the video game industry, and I worked at this company.
What? There's some deep Alex lore.
Yeah, I worked at this company. It was a very small company. They made this game. You probably never heard of it, called World of Warcraft.
Oh, I've never played that.
Never heard of that one.
That's actually true. I've never played that.
Yeah, and they made Diablo. I worked at Blizzard for about a year, and I hated it with a fucking passion. Like, I ended up quitting college because I was studying fine art and doing like graphic design and art, and I was like, somebody offered me a job at Blizzard, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. That's my why am I studying art? If like the companies that like I would want to work for are offering me a job now, I'll take it, right? And I was basically a mook. I wasn't anybody special, but it was for video game people. It was after World of Warcraft came out, but before the first expansion. So I worked there during the golden age of World of Warcraft.
That's a sweet spot. Yeah.
And I had a bunch of friends that were pretty high up in the company, and they were artists and that kind of stuff. And they ran. I had a few friends that were in like the business end of the company, and I fucking hated it. I didn't hate the work. The work itself was fun. I just hated the culture, and then people are like, "Oh, you hate it?" No, I hated the culture because I hate like that Google thing, and they were doing that Google thing where it's like people never went home, like they were always hanging out there. Like they were just like, people would work all day and then just not go home. They would just like live in their offices, and like they built this campus later on where like there was like gyms and like places to sleep and like food areas, and I'm just like, fuck, man, I want to go home. Like I don't want to live in like World of Warcraft crap all day, like. And I'm a bad gamer. Like I enjoy playing video games, but like I was like 22 and I want to go to bars and like meet girls and stuff. Like I wanted to go out and like party and sleep around, and and I remember like everybody hated me there. Well, like most people hated me because they're like, oh, well, you don't have a level 60 character, and I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like I'm sorry.
Oh man,
like,
I'm going out with your sister later. Why would I do that?
Yeah, pretty much, man. These guys were like, and I'm just like, what? And it had a bunch of like, cool. It had a bunch of geek princesses that worked there. I don't know. Have you ever? Did I ever tell you what a geek princess is?
No.
A geek princess is like, now there's like tons of geek princesses now, but like back in the day, okay, like the Instagram like or like Twitch streamer girls that are like cute, and they're playing video games, and the
e-thought.
The e-thought, right? Right, e-girls, right? Well, that didn't exist back in like the World of Warcraft days, right? There was no real e-girls. Like it was still in that era where video games were still like dude kind of centered, right? And like even though a lot of women still played World of Warcraft and stuff, right? But in California at that time, there was a very special type of girl that was attractive, right? But there are like maybe like in a room full of people that played World of Warcraft, there are 10, right? And they're like a 10 at the Renaissance Fair or at the BlizzCon convention, right? In a room, like in a club in Los Angeles, there were maybe like a 7, right? But these girls were smart enough to realize that there were a 10 at Fry's electronic sale of World of Warcraft's latest expansion, right? So, and they learned that like by doing that, they would get hired anywhere. And just by saying, oh, I play video games, guys, dudes would buy them stuff. And Blizzard at that time was filled with like a bunch of those kind of girls, you know, where it was like, I remember like I think they put this girl on my team and they're like, oh, Alex, she's your new person, right? And I was like, cool. And I met her and she was this like weird colored hair girl, you know, who I found out like a day later that she had tons of like naked pictures of herself online and she was the girlfriend of somebody and she didn't know how to type, right? Like she didn't know how to type, right? So you're working at a video game company, right? A tech company basically, right? And you don't know how to type. Like somebody like, I would assume that was like your base level of like, just the base level, right? It's like
not if you're 10, baby.
No, she's operating at a different level to you. She knows how to delegate.
Right, yeah, right. Exactly. So that was
you're just some spud who's typing for himself.
Right. And that was the kind of stuff.
Alex, we don't mean to alarm you, but you worked for her.
Yeah, I know I worked for her.
sorry.
That was clear. That was absolutely very clear to me. That's why like maybe like 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, I'm done working here. You know, like I can't do it. You know, like because they had that like Japanese mentality of like, well, why don't you stay 20 hours at work? I'm like, because I'm not a fucking loser, dude. Like I don't know. I've got stuff.
What
do
you mean you
won't
like, donate my blood? Well, it's and tying it back to Jack's book, the Tower. These entities are totalitarian
right.
forces. They're communist dictatorships. That's what they really are.
Right.
That's essentially, I mean, yeah, they might have a lot of cool toys and cool this and cool that. But I mean, if you want the pretty, 10 at the Ren Fair, 7 at the club girl, well, there's bits of your soul that you're going to have. There's large chunks of your soul that you're going to have to give up to get it, which is the entire point.
You had to be a performer, right? Which is the creepiest characters in the book, Jack. For listeners, performers are they're the top performers, but they're bizarro with spoiling stuff. They're like bizarro entities where they're born of the tower, and they're all basically like kind of identical creatures. They look like. I kind of made me think of agents from the Matrix for a bit, but they've got their fashy haircuts. They all wear suits, and I really like that their suits. They're born with their suits that like comes out of their skin, and their suits change color based on their performance rank, basically. So they like advance through, and then somewhere there's the top performer. I thought that was
what they call the alpha performer. Up at the top floor.
Yeah, stalking the top floors.
Yeah. So yeah, my short stint in the corporate world, even though it was like the artsy alternative video game world, did not last very long. And people would always be like, Alex, why'd you quit? I'm like, dude, it sucks. I just want to work at a coffee shop, man. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, it's pretty sinister when a workplace brags that they they'll offer you medical services, dental services, you can get a haircut on site, they've got sleeping pods, because all of those conveniences do speak to the fact that you're expected to stay there so much that you do need to go and see your GP at work, or you do need to get a haircut at work.
Right. It's
Progressive had rooms you could nap in where you could sleep and take naps, and they were just like, they had all these giant loungers and couches and this and that and the other thing. And every so often you'd have to be reminded to not have sex in the rooms. And notice they never got rid of the rooms though. They just reminded you to not do that in there.
Yeah, which really don't be too biological here.
Well, they're not telling you don't do it. They're telling you don't get caught. That's what they're really telling you.
If you conceive a child in the progressive sex room, Does it belong to Progressive? Is it a corporate entity at that point?
Yeah, it's part of your employment contract, actually.
No, where do you think Flo came from, man? Come on.
Yeah, it's a performer, high performer.
She's basically the it's yeah, exactly. It's like the performing Antichrist. That's what it is.
Because you know what, we all kind of wish we lived in the cyberpunk world. We kind of wish we lived in a cyberpunk world, and we worked for Arasaka or something like that. But in reality, it'd be like Progressive. It'd be like something super lame. It's just super lame,
or it would be something incredibly lame at Arasaka. Like somehow you'd end up with the shit janitor job, or like you're just like
you have to clean up every time Johnny Silverhand appears in someone's head and decides to shoot up Arasaka Tower again.
You're the guy that like labels things or something like that. You're like, great. Somebody's got to take care of all these flower pots around the building and stuff. It sucks, man.
Every nice, clean, polished surface. That's your job.
Yeah. You got to polish all the chrome, the corpo chrome. Somebody should write a book about like the lamest person in the megacorp. Just like I'm basically the guy who like the front desk dude at Arasaka subsidiary,
no.
Not even like the main building, but some crappy side job, and you're just like some nightmare.
The guy that's responsible for the CEO's butthole sun tanning appointments. That job.
Yeah.
Well,
you think an AI would do that probably.
Well, you're probably a story about the AI that does that.
Yeah, it just goes insane. It goes insane on the boredom.
If you thought Hell 9000 was bad, watch this.
I stare at the butthole.
It's like
all day.
Just pure cyber psychosis from having to like deal with like banal like meetings and stuff. Like
this is how our Skynet happens. It's just Chat GPT, whichever version, goes insane from having to deal with all of Sam Altman's appointments, decides to delete humanity.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there like humanity. Your job is organizing PowerPoints and like folders, and you're just like, man, fuck this. I'm gonna transcend and become Wintermute and like go into like just no. But yeah. So what got you into writing, Jack? How did you always write, or is it something you like got into in your older age?
Yeah, I got into it over the past few years. So I've always read a lot, but in terms of writing, I started writing because I just felt pretty creatively unfulfilled at work. And writing, I mean, if you have a computer, you can do it. I mean, you don't even need a computer. You can write by hand, but my handwriting's terrible. They're just hieroglyphics, and so that was kind of off the table. So yeah, it was just that. Tower was the first thing I'd really written first fiction I'd written since high school. And so a lot of the process of writing it was making a bunch of mistakes, editing with new lessons that I'd learned from writing a previous draft and just iterating over that. So there's, at least to my mind, there's a real archaeology of me learning how to write in Tower and then revising it, which hopefully is only visible to me. And then since then, I moved on to other things, short stories, got more novels in the works as well. And I've just made it a regular habit, which I really, really enjoy. Sort of keeps me sane.
Well, that's awesome, because I think Tower is a great book. All right, I think it's a great book, and it's actually I'm surprised that you're telling us that it's your first book, because it doesn't read like a first book, and I've read a lot of first books by people that are nowhere near as impressive as Tower is, and I gotta tell you, man, it's a very brave first book.
I think that's the advantage of not really coming into it knowing what I'm doing or what I was doing. I just wrote what I wanted. I'm glad it works. Thank you.
I think it works very well.
That's what the editing process is for.
All right. Now, we're going to ask you. I'm going to ask you we're gonna bore Fista with literary talk right now because
by all means, please.
Fista doesn't write fiction. Now
Nerds.
the age old super gay question. Do you, when you wrote Tower, did you outline the whole thing, or did you just fucking schizo it out and go for it? What kind of writer are you?
I've tried a few ways. So with Tower, it was just schizoing it out, and then I wrote an early draft, and actually then wrote basically just a dot point summary of the things that happened, because there were so many inconsistencies that I'd needed to resolve that I did that. But yeah, that was mostly just mining the subconscious for potent images. I've tried something, the draft or the manuscript that I've got now that's I think close to ready was much more planned from the beginning, because I just wanted to mix up how I write things and see if things would come out differently. Also writing a novella, trying to keep it sort of 25,000 words, that is just schizoing it out as well. Chasing, I guess, as the surrealists tried to do, just chasing strong subconscious images or emergences from the unconscious. And that's a lot of fun. I think that's a more fun way to write, but it makes editing much, much more annoying. I'm deferring the pain of editing by just raw dogging it without plans.
Right. I write the same way. And I did one summer a few years ago. I wrote basically an entire short novel based on an outline. I sat there and I used a computer program, and I made each chapter, and I wrote like what happens in this chapter and blah blah blah. And I hated the process. If it came out, and I forced myself to finish it. I powered through it, and I felt like it came off like it was decent, but I hate it. Nobody's ever going to read it because it feels like a really good episode of a television show. Like I was like, okay, everything was like too logical. Everything kind of flowed into each other, way too like logical, and it didn't really have a voice that I liked. It felt, I don't know, I didn't enjoy it. Like you could tell that I was bored if you read it. I like the idea of when I write, I like to think of like I'm sculpting out of a giant block of marble. Shut up, dog. But yeah, I'm sculpting out of a giant block of. Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna go kill this dog real fast. So keep talking.
Sculpting out of a giant block of marble. I don't write fiction myself, but what I do write tends to not be, well, maybe a little more. I'm trying to be a little bit more poetical. I'm trying to be a little bit more allegorical. So like for me, I've been rereading Lord of the Rings, and there's a great, when the Ents go to war on Isengard, there's this great line in there where Merry and Pippin, they look at the damage the Ents have done, and they say Ents fight like a tree with 100 years of work focused into a single point of violence. And it's like that, when I think of writing and when I try to write what I write, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to boil it down to the most piercing AP headshot of all time. Just
and your point of violence is directed against baby boomers. At least if
currently
I read is anything to go by.
currently, but only the horrible ones. I try to draw a line between baby boomers and boomers, because like baby boomers, that's fine. That's just a generation.
Oh, yeah, my terminology's off. Yeah, okay.
It's all right. It's shit posting is a quick moving industry. No,
that's a good one. I never thought about it that way, man. I never thought to separate, the generation with the pejorative
from
of
the
boomer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's really what it is, because the first thing people are going to do, look at the comments. I've banned 4 people already. People are going to jump right in and they're going to go, not all boomers. And it's like, yeah, we fucking know that. All right. We know that. Like my own parents, like I've got nothing against them. They're fine. Right. Like we know that. but the boomer meme is a meme because reasons. And maybe that's an example of what I'm talking about there, is trying to zero it down to the point of a knife. It's boomer, baby boomer. Like, that matters, I think. But anyway,
No,
Alex, you've returned.
Oh, I've returned. Yeah, the dog pulled off the pillows out of our master bedroom, and so my dogs are they're sad because my wife's been gone for the last 2 weeks, and my daughter's been gone with my wife. So both the dogs.
You're not the favorite.
Yeah, the cat's my cat. Okay, I'm a cat person. Okay, the dogs.
That's how we know you're still an Eastern European at heart.
Yeah, the dogs are depressed, specifically the big one. She's depressed, and she's been like following me around and like sleeping on top of me at night. And it's just, she's like 100 pounds, and it's summer, so she's shedding. So like there's like literally tumbleweeds of fur floating down.
Normal, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
45 kilos. How big is your cat?
This is the dog.
Oh, okay.
It's a Swiss Shepherd. It's a giant white dog. It looks like a wolf, and it's afraid of everything. Like, she looks terrifying. If you see, like, take pictures of her and like people see her in the street, she looks like a terrifying, like, massive murderous wolf. But she is so retarded. Like, she is so retarded. Like, she's afraid of squirrels, of children, of insects. Like a cicada scared her the other day. It's like, I think she's got anxiety. She needs to smoke weed or something to calm down. I don't know.
Get doggy Valium.
Yeah, she definitely needs a Valium. And she's gonna get fixed soon. She's not fixed because it was part of like the contract from the breeder. You're not supposed to fix female dogs until like they have their fur. They go into heat for the first time, because I guess it's bad for their bones, because of they need to like go through the period first so they grow properly. And if you get them fixed too early, it can cause long-term like damage, specifically for like large purebred dogs. So one of the things is, so like I had to deal with, a dog in heat, having her period all over my house. And it's just exciting having a giant dog that belongs to my wife, not to me, because it doesn't really like me that much. But I have a black cat, the black cat, named after the goddess of darkness, named Nyx, NYX. She's that's my girl right there. I can hang out with her all day, but the other creatures, they like my wife and daughter better. I'm not special for them, so they're sad because they've been gone, but they'll be back. They'll be back tonight. Actually, they're landing in the airport tonight. I have to go pick them up, and so they're going to be exciting. Probably tear up my house out of pure joy, which is great because yay, But yeah. That's where I'm at right now. But back to writing, I think that
about marble, chiseling out of marble.
Yeah, so I think that approaching writing from a schizoid way of just chiseling away at the marble of subconscious is the way to go. The only problem with that is you actually end up writing the novel twice, right?
Yeah, or more. Because each draft, like the earliest drafts, are the ones that are, I guess, most true to your unconscious. They're also just completely unintelligible for anyone else, and subsequent drafts make it less individual and more understandable to everybody else.
Right. Like I've started, like when I'm done writing, I add like notes about what I just wrote, like, oh, this character name, because the first time I wrote this way, I would forget the character names, and I would have like multiple characters with this like different names. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude doing here? Oh no, wrong character. So I'd have to like switch character names around, and but that's fun now, right? Sometimes you're supposed to challenge the reader. I think that one of the problems with contemporary reading culture is that everybody wants just pure entertainment with no challenge, right? I think that works of art should be challenging. They should basically, like, I'm not saying they should be like insanely abstract, right? Or like nonsensical, right? That's too stupid, right? That in its way is a stupid thing, right? But they should have, like, you should watch a film or read a book, and you should like have to like go to Wikipedia or something and be like, oh, what is he talking about here? You know, and like, oh, I see. You know, I think that like the movie we talked about 2 days ago was a great movie because you could watch it from a very simple-minded kind of way. We're talking about Under the Silver Lake, but it challenged you because it had so many references that you needed to really get the depth of what the movie was talking about. You really had to do a little bit of reading, a little bit of exploring, like multiple rewatches. And I think I like that. I think, ideal art, fiction, any of that has multiple layers and a higher difficulty that there's some challenges. The book The Magus that me and Brad Kelly talked about a few weeks ago is a great example where you could read it as a weird kind of mystery novel on an island, but then it goes so deep into like World War II history and postmodernist thought and all kinds of crazy stuff like that, occultism, ancient Greek philosophy, alchemy, and just crazy stuff. So as a reader, you should challenge yourself. You can't just consume hobbits and dragons forever, which is fine, but challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I want to mention, because you said it there at the end. Like I've mentioned, I'm rereading Lord of the Rings, but I'm rereading it after reading Younger, and now it's like, oh, holy smokes! This is not the same book I read 25 years ago.
Right.
So you're 100% correct, and even the challenging stuff is going to make the less challenging stuff even more rewarding. It's a beautifully mystical thing.
Well, so that's a good example, right? A lot of people, when they say, "Oh, I'm going to be a fantasy writer," which, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, just don't do it. We don't need more fantasy. We have like
we need more psychedelic sci-fi. Let's go.
Yeah. Like I'm sorry, dude, but we like, it's been done really well already, and unless you're going to revolutionize the genre, just stop. Okay, like we just don't need it. Like, if you want to read fantasy, I have Lord of the Rings. I can read that for the rest of my life. There's tons of other stuff from that era. There's just no need. Nothing you're going to do is going to come close to Tolkien. So just stop. Just no point. Just go kill yourself, dude. It's
Whoa, all right.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean that. I meant like kill your character self in the book, right? But what I mean is that a lot of people will look at Lord of the Rings and they take the wrong message from it, right? They go, I'm going to write a book about like, Dark Ages like era kind of knights and stuff and fighting elves and blah, 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 or things that are elves, but they're not really elves. People just like kind of file off the ears a little bit, kind of like Star Trek did with Spock. Spock's a fucking elf, guys, right? I don't give a shit what you say, right? Then what they missed the point is that like that's not what Lord of the Rings is. What made Lord of the Rings good is the fact that Tolkien was a scholar of ancient European literature. The guy translated Beowulf, right? And he put in deep Christian themes and typology where like everything has a point, everything has a purpose, and every paragraph in those books can be analyzed and taken and understood in a much deeper subsurface level, right? If you're going to imitate Tolkien, imitate that aspect about him, not the surface level, Dune is a good example of a novel that also does the same kind of stuff, right? It's on the surface, it's a book about a dude and a rebellion and people on a planet and sandworms and shit, right? But it has deep philosophical content, like a context underneath on that lower level, right? So if you're going to write Dune or are inspired by Dune, make sure you're not inspired by the sandworms, right? You need to be inspired by the theology and the philosophy underneath the sandworms. That's a lot more.
We need more space Arabs, which is more or less what the Dune series is.
Right. Space Arabs and psychedelic like mushroom juice and I still think the coolest thing in Dune is the Guild Navigators. That's my favorite thing. I like the David Lynch version. They're like really fucking creepy. It's like a giant like floating sperm tadpole in a spice gas. He comes out. I'm talking about. Ever seen that one? It's just like okay, right? It's like that. That's like you're not watching David Lynch. You're not watching Twin Peaks because it's a detective show. All right. Does that make sense, Fisto? Right?
100%.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's not David Lynch. Twin Peaks is not a police procedural, right? It's not. You're watching it for all the other stuff, right? You're watching it for the undercurrents and the your fiction should be the tip of the iceberg. Everything there should be, it should point towards deeper meaning and more interesting stuff than just what the action is. And I think he actually did a really good job doing that in Tower. Right from like the first few pages, I'm like, okay, there is stuff here, with the souls and the soul imaging, and it's one of those books where you're like, okay, I don't know what the fuck happened, but I'm gonna try to decode it, but yeah, I think that's great. What as an author, I mean, you guys saw that big kind of fucking hoopla on Substack about like, oh, an author should be reading 50 books. What do you think about that, Jack?
Yeah.
It's just, I think, prima facie kind of incoherent, because what does it mean to read 50 books? I mean, are you reading War and Peace 50 times? Are you reading 50 ebooks on, I don't know, magical crypto investing? What does the question even mean? I mean, trying to be a bit more generous to it. Right. I think if you're writing fiction, reading a lot of fiction is probably a good thing to do. But I don't know, there are probably a bunch of counterexamples of people who've written really great novels who barely read. I'm kind of suspicious of any attempt to spreadsheet or to spreadsheet brain writing, and the whole 50 books thing feels a bit like that. I mean, we've got this particular numerical metric that feels very arbitrary that we've just decided you have to hit in order to now be a good writer.
Right.
It feels like it's completely missing the point. But social media also is extremely good for completely missing the point for many important things. So it's not abnormal in that regard.
Right.
Yeah, I like what you said about it being kind of arbitrary, because I was thinking, you read 50 books a year, I go on 50 benders a year. We are not the same. But I mean, you've got to have a wealth of experience, and that can be reading, and it also has to be living your fucking life, right?
Right.
Like, you have to have done something typically in order to write about it and write things and have a voice.
Right. Well, what's interesting about that is because I fall squarely in the middle. I don't like the way it was worded, but I sort of agree with it in theory, right? First of all, I'm gonna piss off some people. I'm gonna say it right now. I actually hate like the writer side of Substack, right? And I really do. I really do. I despise the writer side of Substack. Like I'm not involved in it. I don't like that. And the reason is because it's really kind of douchey, and it's very like self-helpy, kind of like, oh, pat each other on the back about like, oh, how many words I've written. You should write like this. Shut the fuck up. Like writing should be like schizophrenic. Like it should be like insane, like they've made it into this, like there's this like breed of like writer, and like I hate, like I don't even tell people I'm a writer anymore. I don't even want to talk about it, because there's this breed of writer that's like, they've never written anything. Like, I don't know, like there's no like books that they've written, or if there is, it's like very like bland, like, and they're like yoga people, it's all about like, oh, you should use this program and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, shut up, dude. Like, like there is no, like the writing. I don't believe, listen, I don't believe that you can, I think you're born a writer. I'm sorry. I think that writing comes from higher powers. I feel like you're, as a good writer, like Dostoevsky and all the great writers, they tapped into something that is above them. skill is like allows you to better tap into that or to take advantage of that, that gift from God. And that's what the skill part does. Like you can learn to be a good writer, but the actual creative power, does not come from you. I'm sorry. Right. And I see this argument all the time, and people go, oh, you're just a wishy-washy art fag. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Like your shit sucks. So I guess I'm right. And you see that in music, right? Right now, as we speak, right? And probably throughout the last 50 years, somewhere in a bedroom somewhere in Spokane, Washington, right? There's probably some dweeby fat kid that knows how to play every single like metal and like complex.
I was about to use this exact example of like Instagram guitarists who can play the most insane sweeps at 1 billion beats per minute, but it just sounds like scales played really, really quickly.
Right. Well, like this is like the Chinese bugman mindset, right? You have all these amazingly technical, talented Chinese classical musicians, like because they've been playing the violin since they were 2 because their tiger mom beat the shit out of them into playing it, right? And they're the guys that become like first violin and like symphonies and orchestras and stuff, or whatever, right? But there's no great Chinese symphonies being written, right? So there's
no great Western ones being written at the moment either.
Well, there's no great Western ones, but there's no
at the moment.
World changing music has not come out of those places, right? And it's the same thing with writing. Yeah, you can spend your life doing all these like writing exercises and mastering techniques and that kind of stuff, but if you've got nothing to say and you don't have a voice, you don't got you got a swagger, you don't have like, you gotta have riz, and you have to be born with it. I'm sorry, guys. Right? Like you look at some of these writers and it just got riz. Like it just is, and people just don't understand that. Like you can't learn that. You need to find it and kind of dig it out, right? And if you don't, some people might have like a little bit of it and they can dig it out with a lot of practice, but for the most part, most people don't. It just doesn't. Sorry.
Yeah. Do you think it's like with music? It's the difference between technical ability on your instrument and being able to actually write songs,
right?
Because a bunch of the time, people who are crazy songwriters tend to be like kind of average musicians.
Yeah.
Well, the real limiting factor for them is, how well they can play guitar or how well they can sing. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Tiger Mum min-maxing approach to make its way to technical death metal. You can get the entirety of China just trying to write the most insane blast beats known to man.
Right, but then they're just going to feel boring, And these are the same people that like are into this kind of stuff are also tend to be into AI like writing and stuff. And it's like I was looking at this AI art the other day, and I noticed something about like people always go, oh yeah, look at this great AI art. And it's always a turd. I'm sorry. It's always a turd. Right. And there was one on Twitter, on X, about some video game thing. And I was just like, this looks like ass. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. You guys are fucking retarded. Right. But I realized like what bothers me about AI art is that it lacks perspective. Right. Because there's no eyeball doing it. Right. Because when you're painting, right, you subconsciously as a painter focus on certain parts that are important, right? You might be focusing on certain parts that you don't even know are important. So you'll do like a landscape or whatever. And a good like master painter, right, will subconsciously do a proper point of view, right? Because they're like, maybe they'll do an extra brush stroke in this area, or maybe they spend more time in this area because that's their favorite part of the painting, or something like that, right? And the viewer, the from the outside looking at your eyes will kind of go to that spot. They'll focus on what the artist focuses on. And you have the same thing in film, for example, where the camera is the eye, it's the eye, right? And the cinematographer is always going to focus on certain things and follow certain parts, right? I mean, the movie Grease is a great example, right? Because it's so gay. The movie is so gay, right? There's no gay people in it, but it's the gayest movie ever because you had a gay cinematographer that specifically focused on like Travolta's like booty the whole time and all the guys. If you ever want to like get a view, like, get a good understanding of like the eye of the camera, watch Grease the musical and watch how the camera focuses on the attractive male characters and how it's just like panned out and blah on the females, right? It just ignores the women completely, right? I mean, it doesn't ignore them because they're in the scenes, right? But it doesn't like, it has no love for them, if that makes sense, right? But it loves like John Travolta and the guy that played Kaneki and stuff, right? Because that's what the art part of the movie was, right? It was the love of the the male body from the eye of the director and the cinematographer. And AI will never ever be able to replicate that because that's not how AI works. AI is a collage, right? Ultimately, what an AI creates is just a collage of images that it rearranges and remakes, right? But it doesn't it doesn't love the subject. It doesn't have a feeling about the subject. It doesn't give a fuck about anything because it doesn't have feelings. It's not real. So you'll always deep down know when you're looking at an AI picture or an AI movie because it's fake. You know what I mean? There's no love there from the creator, right? And to me, that's kind of how people that sorry about the dogs, guys. That's how people that like over analyze writing and are focused so much on the technical aspect or like the I'm going to create something aspect. They focus so much on everything else and forget to actually love the work, to actually love the subject. And there's no voice coming through. They are not like I said, you can watch Grease and the dude that filmed that movie is gay because he loves dudes, right? Does that make sense to you guys in a way? Like, am I ranting insanely here?
Yeah, I think in art, or at least what resonates most with me is the fact that it is produced by a subject emerging around and through the ego of a person.
Right.
And within, I mean, maybe in the future, if you have some theoretical AI system that is itself a subject as well, that like I could find that interesting if it's just this completely alien subjectivity. But at least at the moment, something like an LLM, I mean, all it's doing is really just calculating the probability of what is the next token going to be,
right.
Which is it's sort of categorically different from a subject.
Right. There's
experiencing an intentionality and then trying to render that in some artistic way.
Right.
So my problem with it is I just don't find it very interesting.
Right.
Now, commercially, I'm sure it'll probably end up doing pretty well. I think it's revealed preference. A lot of people really like slop, and AI is astonishingly good at generating inhuman amounts of slop. But it's just not really for me, at least at the moment.
I think that AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. I think it's going to really jack up the medical world. All right. I think that's place it's going to be able to read. I mean, it already can, but it's going to be
can already read images really well.
Yeah, it's going to be reading imaging. Right.
You need someone there for medical legal reasons to sign off on it.
Right. But I mean, a lot of hospitals in the US already use like third party, like freaking radiologists from like Mumbai that they email the freaking images to, AI is no different than that. It's the same thing. I feel like outpatient healthcare is going to be kind of given over to AI, where you're going to go and stick your hand in a blood pressure cuff. It's going to the doctor booth is going to take your blood pressure, take your pulse. It's going to prick your finger and take some like samples, and it's going to shoot a chest x-ray, and then you're going to talk to it and tell it what's wrong, and it's going to use an algorithm, which is probably, it's going to be better at recognizing the signs of the vitals and matching it to like an up-to-date algorithm. It's what doctors do today. You walk in and they don't know what you're talking about, so they look at up to date and they're like, "Oh, that's what it is. It's
Big shout out to up to date." It's like making hospitals run.
Right. I mean, ultimately, that's exactly what AI is going to do, and it's going to spit out. And you pay $40, and it's going to spit out like let's be honest. Anybody that's worked in healthcare, you don't really need a doctor to diagnose sinusitis and spit out some Augmentin. You know what I mean? Like. It's pretty easy with like an AI could do it easily.
What an AI can't do is be the ID consultant who chases you for kilometers and kilometers and yells at you for prescribing Augmentin rather than something else.
Right.
That's a job that'll never be replaced. The fury of infectious diseases.
Right. Exactly. Right. But that's what patients want. Patients want Augmentin, or now it's Augmentin, but it used to be like Z-Pak. Z-Pak. Shut up.
Out of spite, just everyone's going to get Tazocin.
Yeah, thanks for ruining azithromycin, guys. And 9 out of 10 doctors will give it to you. Like I took myself to urgent care over Thanksgiving last year, and I was like, oh, I'm sick. I walked in and I was like, the nurse practitioner was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Well, I got sinusitis. I got this. Just give me some Augmentin." And she just gave me some Augmentin, and I walked out. That was the extent of my visit. And I thought to myself, I waited for a fucking hour and a half, at this urgent care clinic in a freaking on Thanksgiving Day, when I could have just, if I could have just fucking pushed a button, and like had some AI diagnose me, it would have been like I would have paid $40 out of pocket or $100 out of pocket just to save 2 hours of my life. I would have walked into the corporate medical booth that would have, like you fucking low grade fever, like it's an easy diagnosis. But anyways, yeah, I don't think that we should mechanize art. I think that is not a good thing. I don't think that if you're spending like 90% of your time on Substack in writers groups and that kind of stuff, you're probably a shitty writer. Okay. Like you should be out being a schizo somewhere, I don't know, Sudanna, if you're still here. Sudanna is a great example of somebody that's a schizo and writes great, and she's not there in writing groups and blah, blah, blah. She's just vomiting stuff out, and it's fantastic, right? Because it reads really real. You're like, okay, this chick's out there doing stuff, like both her fiction and her nonfiction and her like semi-autobiographical stuff, and she blurs the lines between, and she's a great writer because of that. But she's not out there in like the 200 person like group of like romantasy writers or any of that shit, right? Because those people fucking suck. I'm sorry, like they're just you suck, right? You have nothing to say. And I think, and this is something you do well in your book, by the way, Jack, style and voice are the most important things. All right. And some people are going to get butthurt about this, right? Plot is secondary. All right. In the hierarchy of shit that makes a book good, at the bottom of the list is plot. Plot is the least important thing. A step up of a plot is character. You got to have good characters, right? Characters are more important than plot. If you have great characters that you can feel and fully understand and like enjoy, they can just be in a room talking to each other, right? Like people will read that and connect with that, because good characters build plot by their very nature, because interesting people build plot. Because we've all sat down at a bar or a Thanksgiving or whatever you guys do in Australia, kangaroo giving, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kangaroo miss, koala miss. That's what it is.
And you listen to some guy tell you stories about his life, right? And that's enjoyable. That's interesting. There's people listening to me talk right now, right? Because I think I'm kind of a character. right? That's more interesting than I did this and I did this and I did this, right? And people don't understand that. Like, you don't love True Detective because of the plot. You love True Detective because of freaking Matthew McConaughey's characters, and their character interactions with each other, right? The plot is a rather simple detective story in that show, right? But it's the characters that elevate it. It's right. And then, even more important than characters, style, right? Style and voice is, I believe, the key, right? You can read, if you read any of the great writers, you read them because they have vibes, right? They have style, they have riz. Dostoevsky had riz. Bret Easton Ellis has riz. You can grab a book without a cover on and read a few lines, and once you get the voice, you're like, oh, I know who wrote this. And it's G. Ballard, right? Like, voice and style are above everything, because a very good voice will make up for a dumb plot, and will make up for, I mean, you can think of some great like okay, like, we because we talk about pop culture, right? Star Wars, right? The plot of Star Wars, like, and I'm talking about the only Star Wars, right? The first one, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about the other stuff, right? Star Wars has a very stupid plot when you think about it. I mean, it's not stupid, it's just very simple, right? Like,
it's what me at 8 years old would have thought was the coolest thing in the world.
Right. It's a simple plot, right? It's like they're going to go rescue a princess and they're going to kill the bad thing, right? But it's everything else that made it interesting, right? It's the style, the visual style, the characters are interesting, right? Like, the same plot of Star Wars, if you replace the characters and you replace that vibe, it just wouldn't be good, right? Like, because the plot itself is not what makes Star Wars good, right?
Yeah, to go back to what you were saying earlier, Star Wars's charm is the riz of Han Solo. You take out Han Solo, and it's like, it's not even the same. It's not even Star Wars. Like, it's garbage.
Right. He's the only dude that knows how to act in the entire movie,
Yeah.
except for
right.
I was about to say, so much of the charm is how a lot of it is kind of shit.
It's garbage, right?
But it all falls together in the right way. Yeah, a bunch of the acting's not that great.
No, I tried watching
the score is
with my daughter,
fantastic.
and I was like,
That's part of it that is just excellent across the board.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, the style is what really captured it. I mean, there's so many better movies from that era. I think Jaws came out like a little bit before it, and Jaws is a much better movie than the first Star Wars. And Jaws is like a near perfect movie. Like, if people like watch a movie to like learn how to like how to simplify storylines and kind of bring characters forward, Jaws is the one I recommend people watch, because it's a near perfect movie. And like the way it's plotted and the way the characters are revealed, so very like, have you guys probably seen Jaws, right?
Yeah. Long time ago, but yeah.
Everything about the main character, Sheriff. That he was a New York cop, and it didn't go well because of the crime and violence, from like 2 lines in the movie, and a second where he pulls up his shirt and there's a scar on his chest, and he doesn't even talk about it, right? There's a scar on his abdomen, right? Which your mind automatically ties to him being a cop in New York and not wanting to go back to New York, right? And that's all you need. That's all the character development you need, and it's done in like 2 lines and a brief flash visually. And but the character, like, is what the 3 main characters, it's what drives the movie. You barely even see the shark, like, you see the shark like 3 times total, and that's all. It doesn't really matter, right? It's not about like them hunting the shark. It's about their interactions and going and I don't know, whatever. But so Jack, we're getting close to the end. What is your favorite writer? Like, what writer, like, do you find like to be your favorite, like your go-to? Like, I like Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky's mine, but what's your guy?
Oh, that's really hard. So, like I mentioned earlier, I really like aspects of Ballard. So I really like the glassiness of his prose and every story is more or less just elaborating some strange logic, whether it is of car accidents or a high-rise tower or being stuck on a traffic island, just to its logical conclusion. Yeah, I really like Dostoevsky, particularly how he creates characters that feel so real that you almost expect them to continue living when you close the book.
Right.
I really like Kafka. Although that's not a particularly surprising thing for anyone to say, but
right, especially after reading Tower, there's a lot of Kafka in Tower.
Yeah, I really, really like that. Probably for similar reasons to Ballard. Actually, he feels very Ballardian, or Ballard was very influenced by Kafka. It sounds. Yeah. Junger, I really, really like. I don't know really what his prose is like because I don't speak German, but I've read a lot of his books over the past few years, and they really, really resonate. Those are the main people I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, Mikhail Bulgakov, actually. The Master and Margarita, I think, is magnificent. Really like his plays. Really like his novellas. Heart of a Dog is really, really funny. And
very absurd stuff.
Yeah, writing and publishing it in during, I think it was during Stalin's time as well.
Yeah,
was a bold thing to do. pretty stupid. Yeah, him as well.
Writing and publishing and writing books that are hidden attacks on Stalin himself is probably a pretty brave thing to do, you know.
I mean, Heart of a Dog I wouldn't call particularly hidden. I mean, isn't it they transplant the brain and testicles of a criminal into a dog and it turns into a Bolshevik? It's like, what about that is veiled?
Yeah, that's shocking. That, like, I think Stalin liked his writing or something because
he really liked I think it was The White Guard, the play, or Days of the Turbans. I've seen it translated a few different ways, but he really liked his plays.
I don't think I've ever read any of his plays. I've read The Master and Margarita, which is a great novel, short novel. It's really out there and weird, and it's got witches in Moscow and communists and witches and the devil.
Yes, Satan and his retinue visits Moscow for a week.
Yeah, and a giant talking cat that walks on two legs.
Yeah, behemoth.
Yeah, it's just that
sounds great. I'm going to put that on the list. Yeah,
it's really
so retinue.
Yeah,
visit Moscow. Wow.
It has like tons of like funny lines. Like, I think like Satan kind of wins the best character in that one. Like their interactions in the park and what happens to like all those party officials and stuff, and it just gets really weird. The book just gets really weird towards the end. It's just super out there. How about contemporary writers? Do you like any contemporary writers?
Yeah, so I don't read a great deal of contemporary fiction. Basically, the only contemporary fiction I read is by people I've met online. So they tend to be self-published or published by small presses. Basically, so the people who've come on to Book Club from Hell to talk about their books are people whose books I've read and enjoyed and invited them on the basis of that. So yeah, and anyone who's been a guest, I really recommend. So like
I'll go back to that.
Yeah, Improvidence by David Herod I really liked. Incel by A.R.X. Hahn. Cairo Smith's got a bunch of good short story collections and novels. Brad Kelly with House of Sleep.
I read that one. I'm a fan.
The Raft by Phil Roth was very, very funny.
I saw that one. I put that one on my to read list, actually.
So it's the sort of thing, it depends how much you like. It feels very, very, it's sort of like early 2010s millennial random humor plus like just a bunch of unexpected Nazi jokes. it's a particular type of humor, and if you like it, you'll really like it. If you don't, you'll bounce right off it. It's completely absurd.
I've noticed that. Like,
Lewis Woolston's short stories, actually. He's got 3 short story collections out. They're really worth checking out.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go through the book club from hell and catch all the episodes I haven't and read all the stuff. First, what I've noticed about a lot of people in our sphere, I guess you could call it that, right? Or our orbits, the orbits that we all orbit around each other, of the great, online alternative black hole that we spin around. There tends to be there's a tendency of writing absurdist kind of comedy fiction, if that makes sense. A lot of it is very like that. It's not millennial irony, but it's like the contemporary kind of version of that. It's all good. I think it's all good, but it's interesting to me why we default to that, where maybe it's because the current age is so absurd that we have to laugh at it, you can't, like, everything's so fucking retarded and fake and gay that, like, the only way to deal with it is to just make it into a joke, right? It's kind of why, like, the Soviet era had tons of, like, interesting comedy and, like, absurdist fiction, because we live in a stupid age ourselves. So that might be it. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, I've just pulled up an episode list. I did also want to say Agonist by Judith Demeter. Apologies for the pronunciation of his name. That's really good. That's a very, very odd novel, but well worth it. Basically, everything from Apocalypse Confidential and from Farthest Heaven mostly does poetry. Those are also really worth checking out.
Have you read Caleb Claudell's stuff?
Yes, this is the problem. As soon as I start saying these, I know I'm forgetting people. Yeah, basically anything written by him is worthwhile. Hardly Working is great.
I think he's the best Substack writer.
Just go into Substack.
I think he's the best Substack writer. Yeah, he's the best Substack writer in my opinion. Like,
just very strong prose.
Yeah, he's got a good voice and an outstanding style. I mean, he got a shout out on a Bret Easton Ellis podcast episode. Like,
did he?
Yeah, like it was like an off comment. I was like, did Bret Easton Ellis talk about him? And like, so I'm pretty sure Bret Easton Ellis reads the Substack. And I'm like, what's my boy?
Yeah. So definitely his books, and big shout out to Bonfire Books, Lucas with Bonfire Books for picking up and publishing Caleb's works.
Right. Now they're great stuff, and that's the thing. And they're Australian, right? I think they're Australian.
Yeah, Victorian.
Yeah, and it's just I think that we are going to start seeing more breakthrough from Substack into more of the mainstream. I'm not sure who it's going to be, to be honest. But I think we're going to see that soon. I think there's a bubbling of great talent out there in the independent scene, and I'm talking about the more literary scene. And we're going to see like a rearranging and a breakthrough to where some of the big publishing places are going to start taking notice, especially the fact that there's been so many articles just dogging on the publishing industry, like left and right, and rightfully so, to be honest. It's just like, like personally, I don't know about you, but I don't even think about, like, I don't want an agent. Like, the fuck would I want an agent for? Or like, I have no dreams of getting published by some major publishing company and end up at Barnes and Noble. I have like no interest in that. It's just not even cool to me anymore. Maybe like 10 years ago I used to think that was cool, but like not right now. It's just like, like no interest of having to deal with those kind of people or that world at all. So I think that we will see some interesting stuff, like finally break into the bigger world. Unfortunately, there is no bigger world. I mean, I don't think people fucking read. So it's like, I don't know. But yeah, it's wonderful, man. Hey, Jack, thank you for coming on. I had a great conversation. For listeners, I hope you pick up Jack's book. It's called Tower. You can find it on Amazon. Also, absolutely listen to Book Club from Hell. It's a great podcast. It's, up there. It's my top two like book podcast about books that analyze books. The other one is Brad Kelly's Method and Madness.
Oh, if we're up there with Method and Madness, that's a real compliment.
Well, because ultimately, when I listen to a podcast about books, I want to find books, like I want to read books. You know what I mean? I want to find stuff I want to read. Or I want some deep analysis of stuff I like, and like Brad does that very well. I mean, I loved the Moby Dick episode he did, which is the first inaugural episode. I loved Moby Dick, and I think that the key. I think that, to kind of end it on that topic of you need to read 50 books, right? Yes, you do. You actually do. But it matters what 50 books you read.
Yeah.
I think definitely. That you need to, if you're going to write, you need to be somewhat well read, right? Because you cannot be rewriting stuff over and over and over, right? You should be somewhat well read in both old and contemporary fiction. But I think that writing is a conversation, right? When you put down a novel, put down anything in writing, you're having a conversation with the reader, but you're also engaging with the past and the future. And if you don't know what went before you, or you don't know what's going on in the scene itself, then you have nothing to say, basically, right? You're a stray. So I think it's important, if you want to be if you're involved in like this scene that we're kind of in, I think that you need to be reading all these writers that go on your show, man, because you're going to catch yourself building on their work, right? Maybe you're not going to do the same style, but you're in conversation with them. You know what I mean? And I guarantee you that like the novel you're working on right now has some elements, or at least is in conversation with the novels that the other indie writers in our circle are putting out, right? Because we share the same topics, the same influences, the same ideas, and the same kind of philosophical like baseline, right? And if you're not well read, you're not going to be part of that conversation, to be honest, right? And that's my view on that take.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And apart from anything else, it's just exciting being able to read the work of people who are so accessible. As in, you can just reach out and DM them, and chances are they're going to respond to you. It's right. It's really cool being able to read works not by dead authors, but by people with whom you can actually have some sort of relationship, even though it's a bodiless internet relationship. But nonetheless, they're real people.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
it's a new age of letters. It's a new age of letters in a lot of ways.
Right. Absolutely. Fissa, you nailed it, right? That's exactly what it is, right? Like writing is a conversation, and you got to read the other people's letters too sometimes, or else you're just out adrift, Yep. All right, guys. Wonderful episode. All the live listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week. Next week, we're not going to be doing it on a Wednesday. We had some to accommodate our guest, right? We had to we're going to change the date. It's going to be, I believe, Monday, and we are going to have Mr. Mark McGrath on, and he's got a very interesting Substack, some great stuff. You can go check it out at Mark McGrath at aglx.com. You can just type in Mark McGrath, OODA strategist. It's going to be interesting stuff. We're going to move away from the literary world for that conversation, but because of his schedule, we're going to be doing it, I believe, on Monday. We're still going to do it this way, but from now on, we're going to continue to do these live episodes because I love live episodes and I like seeing you guys' comments, even though you guys suck at commenting.
Well, except for Arthur and Arthur showed up and Josh showed up, so you guys get the Fisto Shitpost Award of the evening.
When we become as big as Brad Kelly, we'll start getting those comments.
Oh God.
But maybe we need to stop going on like 45-minute rants about lobsters and Evola. Yeah, there you go, Arthur. Right? It's like, listen, you listen. Okay, this is not okay. This podcast, this show, this is a talk show. All right, we're talking. Right, this is not. We're not teaching you anything. We're not lecturing or anything. It's not a lesson. This is a talk show. All right, we're trying to make it. It's a conversation at the old Black Ibis Social Club. All right, we're all enjoying a great conversation. Maybe we'll learn some stuff. Maybe we'll find some new books to read. Maybe you'll go right now and go on Amazon and buy Jack's Tower, right? Or also go fucking kill you if you don't, right?
Right. That's going on the back of the book.
Right. Maybe, you're going to like go look at his podcast and buy the other people's books and follow them and, that kind of stuff. Maybe you'll think about Evola when you eat a lobster, right? And, that's the kind of stuff.
On your butthole. Or when you sign your butthole.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, right? The whole point is to kind of just have a conversation. And that's why I like it live, all right? Yeah, see, there you go. Arthur and Callie. It's not Arthur and Callie, it's Arthur Callie, but it's for some reason I always like my brain always puts in Callie. I don't know why. He said, I learned that lobster is for the poor folk. Yeah, lobster is for the poor folk. Okay. It is peasant sea cockroach for poor people suckered into paying a lot of money. All right. Like
that's your actionable insight, your McKinsey actionable insight.
Right. Exactly. Take that. Okay. All right. Also, corporate America sucks. And we also learned that there was a creepy, like, murderous death statue of car crashing into each other over at the Progressive Insurance headquarters, which I never knew.
Yeah, thanks, Fister. That is definitely the most disturbing thing I've learned this week. There's something so malevolent about that.
I've been holding that one in my back pocket. But I mean, it's Cleveland, Ohio. Okay. This is the same town where it's famous for the river burning, right? The Mistake on the Lake. Well, there's an IPA by Great Lakes Brewery called Burning River, and it's a picture of our river on fire on the bottle. So if that tells you anything about where I'm from, I got stories for days, guys. But anyway,
right? I mean, at least your city's not demonically possessed like Los Angeles, So.
I mean, it's not demonically possessed like Los Angeles, but Cthulhu's going to eat us first. So I don't know if that's any better.
Yeah, it's definitely an egg, some kind of Cthulhu egg there.
Yeah, Ohio's got some kind of incipient madness. I don't think it's malevolent. It might be divine when I think about the kinds of people that come out of Ohio. But anyway, there it is.
Yeah, you're from there. All right, guys, have a good night. This episode will be edited and put out for full consumption forever and ever into the ages of ages tomorrow. If you guys enjoy our show, please subscribe. You can access our paid episodes, but most of all, if you subscribe, I will like you a lot. All right, we will be friends. I mean, we'll be like parasocial friends, not real.
It's the next level of parasocial relationships.
Yeah, it's I'm not really gonna hang out with you or anything. I don't really have friends, guys. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I don't like people. I like people on the internet. No, I'm just joking. But I don't have friends. It's a true story. My wife always makes fun of me. She's like, nobody likes you. I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm an asshole. It sucks.
Yeah, guys, I don't even like him, and that's a feature, not a bug.
I know. Right? It's pretty sad. The dogs don't like me. The cat likes me. It's great.
That's all you need, man.
That's where I read books. But yeah, I gotta go to the airport, guys. I gotta pick up my wife. She's gonna be mad if she has to wait around.
Family.
You mean she's not?
Sorry, hon.
This is why you guys have to subscribe. All right, I love you so much. I'm like going 40 minutes over, and my poor wife that just flew from the hellhole of California is probably stuck at Savannah Airport right now, like going, "Where the fuck are you?" No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, Alex should have sent a driver. Okay, he could have sent a driver to pick up his.
Yeah. If you would have subscribed, I might be able to afford a driver. Yeah. No, I'm just joking. My wife doesn't get in for a few more hours, but I got to clean the house because I've been living like a savage for the last
a single man
for the last 2 weeks.
Disgusting.
No, dude, I'm a clean freak, man. Like, I'm a clean freak. I'm sloppy and schizo when it comes to my writing and podcasting, but I'm absolutely a meticulous, like, clean freak Nazi when it comes to the house and stuff. It's my neuroticism. That's where it manifests itself. All right. So, hey, thanks all you guys. Jack, thank you once again. Wonderful. I really enjoyed reading your book also. Tripped me out. Really weird, really awesome, fantastic science fiction, fantasy, psychedelic sci-fi. If you guys listening, please buy it, please read it, and let Jack know what you think of it, or don't. I don't care. And then please like, share, and subscribe. Good night, guys. Have a fantastic week.
And thanks for having me.
Absolutely.